Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel and hope you are all well. This is probably going to be the fourth of 5 videos I'm posting today. I don't really plan to post quite so many videos in one day. It's just stuff happens and you kind of go, am I going to report on this? And yeah, okay, let's do this. Okay, but this video is not about news, it's all about the boss battles and my particular experience with going up against the bosses for this month's event quest, especially in Uncollected. Things that I found, champions I think that could be used, and also we open this up to the comment section if you're struggling, and I ask you as fellow summoners, put your suggestions of champions you've used effectively against these bosses, because we're a community and we like to share this information to be helpful. But without further ado, let's get into these boss battles. So far, I've found this particular month very, well, fine. There's been nothing that's been overly difficult and there's been nothing that's been overly easy, which I think is a positive step for the month of September. One thing that's a little bit annoying is the bug where you scroll up and as you can see in the very top, yeah, the kind of outlines of the borders of the characters is kind of shown, which has happened before. It's just annoying to see these little things come back. But let's get into the bosses. First champion we go up against is indeed Loki. Now there's not really anything too impressive to look out for. The fact is you've got to be good at avoiding your L1s from this champion because they're unblockable. You know that little beam attack that he does with his scepter firing? Yeah, you've got to avoid that. You don't want to eat it. If you're not very good at unblockable specials, in particular beam attacks and in particular Loki's SP1, I would recommend the use of Mordo. Mordo has the ability to block unblockable special attacks, so that could be an option if you are struggling for whatever reason against this, but it's a very straightforward champion. Next up is Joe. Can he fix it? Joe, yes he can. And in particular in this one we've got Bubble Shield. I've got to be honest, like it's not really that difficult, this one. I would probably say it's best to try as best you can push past the L1. It's not always easy to do so. I'd recommend going into a blocked stance and then hitting on through, but the fact is look, if you absorb an L1 into your block, I don't think it's going to do much damage. Maybe even a champion like, well, Daredevil if you're struggling for whatever reason, but this isn't a champion really you should struggle against. Watch out for aggression, regeneration, and maybe the usage of a champion like Archangel could be good for the suppressing of that particular regeneration. I don't think there's any other real options, but you should be able to kind of really motor through this and power through it without having too many issues. Just look out for Bubble Shield, so each blocked attack reduces block proficiency by 6% after 10 attacks. 10 stacks. The next attack is unblockable. So, you know, just watch out. You may have to put your intercept game into overdrive, but maybe a class advantage and bleeding champion like your Gwenpools, like your Blade even. I can get my words out. Blade could be an option, but this is very straightforward stuff. I think this very much becomes the return of Blade month, and I found myself using Blade with the Dormammu synergy quite a bit. So going up against Mystic opponents is to our advantage. So Danger Sense expands to this particular to Mystics. If you're not familiar with that synergy, then this is a good chance to whip out your Blade if you're thinking about it, and especially with Spite. While opponent have active buffs, this champion activates Power Flood, and let's face it, if you're not using Dexterity, then you're not gaining... Well, if you're using a champion that gains loads of buffs, then that's going to be a problem. It's going to trigger Spite. But with Blade, the advantage is with that champion that he doesn't really have any buffs, unless you choose to use Dexterity quite a bit. And that's the point where your interception game should be key. If you've got a constant stun, or like perma-stun, that might be recommended for getting down to 25% because you've got unblockable finale. Not particularly nice, but if you've timed it well, and something that I did use was I put Blade up to his L3, hit that in close to the 25% and just hit on through. And again, to be honest, the usage of Blade for this was kind of key, kind of works, but constant stuns at the point of 25% or going into some sort of L3 could be a good option, but I'd be interested to see what people have as ideas to take it down if you're struggling against this from the comment section. Next up is Diablo, and again, this is very straightforward stuff. Buffet, so if you've got a buff, it isn't going to be good to go up against this guy. It's going to be positive for the enemy because they're going to nullify it. Champions I was using primarily was Blade. Look, we've got Danger Sense again. This is another Mystic character that's been put in. So that's Loki, Diablo, and Scarlet Witch. Not to mention the fact we've got Clairvoyant. That's 4 mystic bosses. So Blade with the Danger Sense with Dormammu got really whipped out. I used a lot for this, for that combination, and it just worked. End of the day, if you've got it, work it. But there will be other options to this. You can keep your distance and have a champion like Quake. You could get kind of up close and put some damage with Omega Red. All the usual characters have been taken out for a ride. If you want to suppress the extent of power gain, then you can use champions like Warlock. You can also use champions like Hawkeye. That may be an interesting option to play about with. But again, so many options there if you are struggling a bit. Look to things that what you're struggling with. Keep your distance with the L1. That's easy because he goes backwards. So that's easy to take down. You know, just take your distance, go back in again. As soon as he's kind of mid-flow drinking, run in and hit in again, and then dart out as well. But yeah, unfortunately, keeping your distance with champions like Omega Red, Quake seem to be very effective, and as well Blade. Now onto the champion that caused me the biggest frustration. I think again it's because not really learning it very early on, and the way that it does actually come off quite aggressive in the gameplay, and I make so many mistakes. But the fact is, I found that keeping the champion to the L1 was and would be the best way to go with this guy. It's kind of annoying that the champion has Limber, so it means if you want to do the fabled Trinity of Incinerate with Domino, it's not going to work out too well. But I did think that maybe the option based on the Fury gain, and if you look to personal space, while the attacker is close to the defender gains a Fury buff every 3 seconds, increasing their attack by 10% permanently. Staying far away from the defender causes these Fury effects to gradually fall off. Now, what I'm thinking is punish those effects. So I tried using Dormammu and that worked. I got a very consistent degen on that enemy. But as well, something that could work out quite well in your favor is the usage of Morningstar. Or maybe it's a case of a constant stun if you can do it with a champion like Ronan. So there are so many different options to kind of play about with this. I'm quite excited to get back in and kind of seeing if I could, well, not really cheese this, but whether or not the extent of keeping the enemy close, building up with the Ronan a constant L1 could be something of a possibility. I don't know, but there are options available for that. Again, it would be exciting to see what you've got in the comment section that you could utilize against this or have utilized successfully against this guy. And the final champion to go against was Clairvoyant. Something to really note to begin with is the champion is aggressive, which is good if you can do parry. Oh yeah, that's right, no stun immunity. It's the stun immunity, so no stun. Which is frustrating for those that maybe wanted to utilize and kind of relax a bit into the fight. You've got to play it in a very intercepty format, which is good because then if the enemy is aggressive, then you'll be able to really capitalize that and get in. Just make sure you watch out. I would probably say the L2 is more easier to avoid than the L1. If you can push her to it, then push her to it. If you're looking for a very quick reducing down of power gain, because that's something to watch out, I'd use a champion like Hawkeye. From my perspective and utilization in this, and for the clip that I'm showing up at the moment, that was all about Domino. I love Domino. She's a great champion, a great character that I've had for a little while now. But the main thing is I got incredibly lucky with my crits. I got a huge crit, which is probably going to be the thumbnail for this video. And I'm like, okay, well, that was really lucky. I probably wouldn't have got that any other way than just luck, because at the end of the day I was thrashing about a bit and I got a bit lucky with that, as you do. Obviously, do bear in mind there's so many other champions to choose from. The Quakes, the Omega Reds, the usual people that allow you to make this done a lot more easier by certain things like either number 1 with Quake keeping your distance, or number 2 with Omega Red getting up close and personal and kind of making that death field and degen damage and those spores really, well, damagey. You know what I mean. There we have it. That's been my collection of champions I used and some that I would recommend. I do welcome you in the comment section to give other suggestions that you've used, because I can't cover every single champion and there's bound to be loads that I miss. And I'm not an expert, no one really is, but it is a collective community coming together in the comment section of this video to let you know who they use, so it can help out another summoner. And there we have it. That has been the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. Go and check out some of the content that was posted earlier today. 2 big news pieces. One is the actual Marvel Contest of Champions news, and one is the breaking news. So go and check them out, and do come back to the channel tomorrow for some more Marvel Powers United VR. I'm going to read the comment section of that video tonight, and then try and change things and improve things going into tomorrow's video. So do check that out. Thank you again for watching, and the final video, the Summoner Showdown video, is coming out later on. Bye bye for now.